The White House says that tariffs on Canadian imports will be imposed tomorrow. CP24's CJ Liu joins us live from the newsroom with the latest details and reaction. Hey, CJ, can you clear up something? There was a little bit of discrepancy over the date of when these tariffs would start. That was earlier, right?
That's right, Bakari. Earlier today, there was a Reuters report that said Donald Trump would be holding off on these tariffs until March 1st. However, the White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt cleared that up, saying these tariffs will in fact begin tomorrow, and they will be 25% tariffs on Canadian imports. And for more reaction to this, I'm joined by Corinne Pohlmann with the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. Corinne, thanks so much for your time today. And now that we know that these tariffs are a reality as of tomorrow, what is the immediate concern here for small businesses in the coming days and weeks?
Well, of course, a 25% tariff is a pretty significant hit for those exporters in particular who are going to face that almost right away. It's going to be tough. Of course, what we don't know yet is on what they're going to put the tariffs on. Is it going to be across the board? Are they going to choose certain sectors only? So that remains sort of a bit of a mystery, which hopefully we'll get some clarification on tomorrow. But there's no doubt a 25% tariff and any tariffs that the Canadian government decides to put into place to respond are going to have an impact on businesses of all sizes. And you have to remember that about half of small businesses in Canada do conduct some kind of trade with the United States, either importing or exporting. And so there is some concern that many of them are going to feel this.
And there is also a lot of concern when it comes to job losses. It's estimated that these tariffs could result in the loss of 500,000 jobs in Ontario. How quickly do you expect to see jobs being cut because of these tariffs?
Well, I suspect it wouldn't necessarily happen immediately. It will have to happen over time. Many of those cuts will likely come more within those exporting companies who suddenly start losing potentially clients or customers in the United States who now find potentially their products too expensive. Some of those businesses, anecdotally, we're already hearing are thinking about relocating to the United States if that's where their dominant market share is. And of course, that doesn't bode well for Canada or Canadian workers. So yes, there is a lot of concern in the business community. And we're not even talking about the fact that if those retaliatory tariffs come in, that could eventually increase prices for many of us as consumers.
Yeah, and speaking of consumers, can you dive into a bit more of how we can be impacted when it comes to just the cost of certain things or even access?
Yeah, absolutely. So clearly what happens if there are retaliatory tariffs imposed by the Canadian government, again, we don't know how broad they would be. We don't know what sectors they would hit. But you would assume that things like food, for example, fruit and vegetables, it's the middle of winter in Canada. We rely a lot on exports from the United States to help supplement that. And that would likely get hit early on. We don't know, again, if the Canadian government will do that. But ultimately, a 25% type of hit means businesses will have no choice because their profit margins can't cover that, and we'll likely have to pass it on to consumers, and you and I will all see increases in the products that we buy that come from the United States.
And we have been hearing the last few months Trump staying consistent with his message that these tariffs are coming. Have small businesses began preparing, and are they maybe in a better shape now because they had a feeling this was coming?
I think some have certainly tried to take some actions. For example, if you purchase from the United States and you are able to grow your inventory a little bit more, again, if you're importing food, that may not be that easy to do. But if you're importing sort of more hard durables, you might be able to import it a little bit more and sustain a little bit longer your ability to sell those products within Canada. As I said, others are already making plans or thinking about whether or not staying in Canada is their best option. And so, yeah, there is some planning going on. Whether people are starting to execute is not certain, because obviously everyone wants to wait and see what actually is going to happen tomorrow. And given this president, even what we're told today may change again yet tomorrow.
Yeah, the news is ever evolving. Thanks so much, Corinne. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
And as for the latest on the tariffs, we did hear from the White House earlier today. They have confirmed that the tariffs will be kicking in tomorrow. So this is contradicting to a Reuters report we heard earlier today that Trump would be holding off until March 1st. So, Bakari, just to be clear, the latest that we are hearing from the White House is that tariffs are happening tomorrow.
Okay, clearing up that discrepancy, CP24, CJ Liu, live from the newsroom. Thanks, CJ.